Welcome to Hour 2 of the Midwest #1 weekly motorsports show, Track Talk, on the RacinBoys Broadcasting Network. Brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet. Once again, here's Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
And welcome to hour number 2 here of Track Talk, exclusively here on RacinBoys.com. I'm Kirk Elliott in Kansas City at the RacinBoys World Headquarters, while Scott Traylor is speaking to us from way out in western Kansas, Jetmore, Kansas, where the Steve King Memorial is going on tonight and tomorrow night. How you getting along there, Scott?
I'm doing pretty good right now, Kirk. I am having me a little breakfast buffet as we speak. Ran over there as during the commercial break, as you were switching all the wires and changing all the knobs over there, and so I'm going to try to wolf down a little breakfast. Then I'm going to head up to Jetmore, which is about 21 miles up the road, and catch today's activities. They're going to have a car show starting up there at 10 o'clock. A lot of the drivers are going to be up there. I know Danny Wood, Jason Johnson, Brady Bacon, not Brady Bacon, but Tony Bruce, Wayne Johnson, Danny Wood, Jason Johnson, Seth Bergman. They're all going to be up there doing a car show, so we're going to go up there and check that out. And then they'll have a parade at 2 o'clock. Maybe we'll get the old RacinBoys golf cart in the parade, Kirk. What do you think?
Sure. I mean, you got it all cleaned up, ready to go. Why not put it in the parade? Absolutely.
Well,
it's
not cleaned up and ready to go yet.
It's
not
charged
quite
up,
cleaned
though,
up.
right?
Not really.
Not really.
So not only is it not charged up, it's kind of dirty. So it might not be in the parade. I'm going to try to get it cleaned up here in just a little bit. But 2 days of action here in Jetmore, Kansas. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I know you had a lot of fun down at Lucas Oil Speedway last night, Kirk.
Yes, sir. The Dart Show Me 100 well underway, and great crowd last night. I thought the track conditions were excellent. You know, you had some complaints in the early days, when they brought the Show Me up here about track conditions, and especially on Friday night. That all went away. You really got to hand it to Gary Hubert and all the folks that work that racetrack. They have gone above and beyond to get the right equipment and the manpower to go in there and work that racetrack. And they're now, Scott, one of the best at preparing racetracks, which that necessarily wasn't always the case, but they have really evolved into one of the best in track preparation. And a lot of it, as you well know, is about equipment. They got the equipment, They till it. The wind was blowing heavy out there. You'd think that'd be a real problem, but they got enough water in the racetrack. And I expect that to be excellent tonight for the Show Me feature race, just like it has been the last couple of years down there. And I think anybody who's complaining about racetrack conditions at Lucas Oil Speedway, you haven't been down there for a while. You need to go down there and check out what's going on right now, because that racetrack is one of the best right now.
You know, it's kind of funny. It kind of reminds me of other tracks over the years. When people go down in the early days, they give up on it. You know, Kansas Speedway was one of those tracks. Remember, everybody thought the racing was horrible the first couple of years, and they didn't go back, and they missed all those good races. I mean, we've seen this from time to time where people think, oh, track conditions are terrible, and give up on something. And I think
I think we may have lost Scott there. We'll get him dialed back in. But, the conditions of the racetrack, if you haven't been down there for a while, is definitely something that you need to be aware of. It is definitely on the upswing at Lucas Oil Speedway. We're going to talk with a few of the drivers that are involved in this year's event, and we'll hear from Scott Bloomquist, who is a 5-time Show Me 100 winner, here in just a couple of minutes from now. But first, let's talk with Terry Phillips, who won the Show Me 100 down at West Plains Speedway here a few years ago. He's been racing his modified most of the year. He's got his late model out there tonight. He's going to have to come out of the B main for tonight's running of the Show Me 100, which is the 20th annual event. And I talked with Terry Phillips last night about his appearance at Lucas Oil Speedway and what's coming up this weekend.
Just a different racetrack completely, another fine establishment, just different place. So new cars, trying to work them out, and kind of a new deal for me on all of it, really. So just looking forward to it.
Assess your late model racing so far this year. You've had your modified out. You won some races in your modified this year, but talk about your late model performance so far this year.
Well, we haven't really raced the late model a whole lot. That's the deal. We need to get some races in and figure it out. They're way different than what I'm used to, and here lately had some good runs and had some bad lucks, but the car is getting better, and we're pretty excited about it.
When you approach a major event like this, do you attack it any differently than just any other race?
No, I mean, we give it 100% every race. So, I mean, there's a lot more hoopla and stuff here, but you got to stay within yourself and do what you need to do.
Racetrack here at Lucas Oil Speedway, typically it's been here over the last few years, pretty racy track, especially at this event. Just talk about the evolution of this racing surface here at Lucas Oil Speedway.
Well, I mean, last night they had the track great. It was about as good as I've seen it in a while, and hopefully we'll get that tonight, and everybody ought to see a good race. They brought this race here, and it was big at West Plains. It's even bigger now, I think. Good competition, a lot of good race cars, and ought to be exciting.
Talk about the changes in dirt late model racing over the last several years. There's been a lot of evolution as far as the chassis setup, shocks, and whatever. Are you surprised by just how advanced everything has gotten here over the last couple of years?
No, I mean, yeah, the shock deal is really huge now compared to what it used to be, but no, you don't sit around very long in this business. Things change. They all look the same, but they're not. Just everybody gets smarter and more advanced and learn more, and you just got to try to stay on your game.
You're one of the few that's out there making it work in both modifieds and late models. Talk about the differences and how far things have come along and the difficulty of winning in both divisions.
They're the same. Like you run the USMTS, real competitive deal. And the modifieds, they're more of a stock front end stuff, but it's the same deal. It's just every year it just keeps getting, everybody keeps getting faster and just changes, and shocks, same deal, and modified program mine's doing real well. Late model, I mean, it's similar to late model, just I guess a lower division in a way, but paying as much money as a lot of the late model races. So it's kind of the same deal, really, just a little bit different kind of car.
You had a lot of years in these dirt late models. About the changes in driving style you have to have between the modifieds and late models.
No, not a whole lot different, really. I mean, late model you can hustle harder because you got bigger tires, but it's really pretty close to the same. That was the goal. When we first started running the mods, you always tell people you kind of herd them around, and the late models you drive them around, and got where these modified drive around the corner a little better now, and it's a lot closer than it used to be.
As we're talking to you here prior to qualifying, just the strategy of going in over the 2 days of getting yourself qualified for the big show, what are you thinking about as you head into time trials and heat races tonight?
Well, you just got to go out there and qualify good. I drew dang near last, I think, but hopefully the track stays good, and so you can. A lot of times the track slows down towards the end, but hopefully it don't do that, and the guy has a chance. But just go out there and do the best you can. That's all you can do.
What about some of the other major? You're going to be running their late model a lot more often here coming up over the summer here. Talk about some of the major events you're going to be chasing here over the summer months.
We're going to go to Eldora here in a couple of weeks and hit some of the bigger ones around here like we always do, and maybe travel out a little bit more than what we normally do. We just got to get used to the car, know what to do when, and get a hold of it a little better, and then we'll go out and venture off a little bit more and try to have some success.
That is Terry Phillips, who will be coming out of the B main tonight. He's got a pretty decent starting spot up towards the front of the first B main. So no doubt he'll get himself qualified for the A feature tonight, the stiff competition down at Lucas Oil Speedway, Scott.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's kind of funny, Kirk. We've had this discussion. I'd like to hear some of the people in the chat room what they think about it. But the cost of modified racing has gone through the roof, right? It's really not much different than what the cost of modified and late models. I mean, you compare dollars for dollars. There's not much difference in between them. I'm sure there's a little bit more in the late model ranks. But the fact is, guys like Terry Phillips that are professional racers realize that there's so much money on the line at so many of these big modified races that he's kind of concentrated on that a little bit more than he has his late model in years past. So it tells you about the kind of money that's out there in modified racing right now.
Yeah, and I was kind of a little bit surprised to say that they're both the same as far as driving the race cars, and the expense and everything is pretty much the same now. And that's a huge statement coming from a long-time late model competitor. There's not many that are in Terry Phillips' shoes that has gone from late model over to modified and back and forth. So really nobody better to comment on the similarities and the comparisons between late models and modifieds right now as far as expense and the competition.
You know what I think? I think that the mechanics of these cars are getting so close to each other. I think that's the deal right now. I think if you look at the way these 4-bar cars and the way they all ratchet up and the way the mechanics on the rear end of these cars work, I think that has a lot to do with it myself. And I think that's where he has an advantage. You know, you look at the GRT cars that he's been running, GRT by Phillips. Well, there's a reason for that. He's taken his late model technology and he's applying it onto his modified. And that's why we're seeing so much success.
A driver that nearly pulled off the Show Me 100 win last year, but fell just a little bit short. Those Bloomquist cars have been very strong in dirt late model racing right now, and I'm not sure how Bloomquist takes to getting outrun by one of his other cars. I got to believe that that's pretty hard for him to deal with on most occasions, but he seems pleased just as long as one of his cars win, but that doesn't seem like Bloomquist style. I think he would rather be in the winner's circle, don't you think? But Owens has had it over him just a little bit, but Bloomquist still in the top 3 in the Lucas Oil late model point standings, and at nearly 50 years of age, he can still get it done out there on the racetrack. One of the legendary dirt late model stars of all time, Scott Bloomquist, talked about his near victory a year ago and a little bit about this weekend at Lucas Oil Speedway.
Yeah, you know, we'd like to have a few more laps, but, you know, it's the way it goes. You know, we started back a little bit farther in the feature. You know, Jimmy got to start up front, and by the time we got there, you know, we just ran out of time. But, you know, the car was good. You know, we worked here at practice last night, and, you know, not quite as good as we need to be or want to be, but I'm working on it right now, making some changes. Hopefully we'll get it right.
Talk about your season so far, just how things have been going.
We've won 3 shows, you know, 3 races this year. Not to the level that I'd like, but we're chipping away at it. You know, I've got some new cars, and we'll just keep on tuning. No matter what, there's always a little difference from one to another, and they like maybe a little different package. But, you know, we just keep testing, and we'll get it.
You've been at this a long time now. Are the challenge to run fast and win races as difficult now as it ever has been?
Yeah, it is. It can be as difficult. I mean, it can be easy for you, and things just be clicking, and you know, you get a car that just is real happy, and things can go your way for a while, you know. But you know, you take a hit or get in an accident or something, and then to get the car to repeat again, and then you get in another car, and then now you're back to chasing it a little bit, and there's the ability to win a lot of races still exists. But you know, we won 15 in the series last year. Jimmy won 6 or 7, and he was the next, you know, highest number. But you know, now this year Don O'Neill's won a bunch of races, and you know, he's been a threat everywhere. You know, so I mean, so they, you know, these, you just never know from year to year who's going to hit on something over the winter, who's going to come out, you know, running better than they did the year before. And that's why you got to constantly work on this stuff and just be looking for more speed all the time. And hopefully we'll get it together and get a big string of wins going.
The economy aside, just how do you see the state of dirt late model racing right now?
I think it's in great shape, you know. You know, really, the late model stuff, as far as having weekly races and, you know, tracks running weekly, and that's not healthy. But our series is healthy, and you know, the TV coverage we get in the package, and you know, there'll be a lot of fans here tonight, and all of our races we've been getting record crowds. So, you know, when you're getting record crowds, the state of the sport's pretty good.
Yeah, and Scott, you just hit on something about the TV coverage. I don't think we really put enough emphasis or talk about how much factor that is at promoting these dirt late model series, especially when you get it on network TV like CBS, that exposes this sport to just far more people. And I think it's reflected in the fan attendance at a lot of these events. These drivers are well known now, where maybe 20, 25 years ago they weren't as well known.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Kirk. We talked about this a little bit with Ben Shelton in hour number 1 on Sports Radio 810. You know, attendance is up across the board. And I think Lucas Oil Products is really, when it comes to touring series like the late models and the sprint car series that we're with, both sponsored by Lucas Oil, that they understand that if they're going to get involved in motorsports and they're going to push these series, they're going to have to give them some good television packages. And Forrest Lucas, he has the foresight to understand what it's going to take not only to get it popular at the moment, but to keep it popular over a period of time. And right now, that's what we're seeing with what they're doing with their partnerships with MAV TV and everything else that's going on with them. It shows that they understand how to make their series grow, and with that growth, it also gives more awareness of the Lucas Oil brand. So Forrest Lucas, again, figuring it out. He knows how to do it for sure.